Jack Miller wiped sweat from his forehead as he finished repairing the air filtration system on Level 3 of Orbital Station Harmony. After 6 years as a maintenance engineer on the station, he knew every pipe, panel, and circuit. It wasn't glamorous work, but after 15 years in the Marine Corps, he appreciated the quiet routine. "Miller, you're needed at Docking Bay 12, crackled his comm unit. "Important visitors just arrived. Station director wants the place looking perfect." Jack sighed, gathered his tools, and made his way through the station's curved corridors. Harmony had become busier in recent months since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Confederation. Earth was still adjusting to the reality that they were far from alone in the universe. When Jack arrived at the docking bay, he noticed the unusual ship immediately. Unlike the utilitarian human vessels, this one had smooth, iridescent surfaces that seemed to shift colors. 2 security officers stood nervously at attention as 3 tall, thin aliens with pale blue skin disembarked. Jack moved to the sidewall, pretending to check some wiring while watching the aliens. The tallest one, wearing elaborate silver garments, spoke in a perfectly translated voice to the station director. "We thank you for accommodating our visit on such short notice," the alien said with a slight bow. "I am Ambassador Jest of the Galactic Confederation Council." The station director nodded anxiously. "Earth is honored by your presence, Ambassador. How can we assist you?" Zextar produced a small device that projected a holographic display. "The Centennial Arena Tournament begins in 3 standard cycles. As is our custom when discovering new spacefaring species, we extend a formal invitation for Earth to send a representative." Jack watched as the hologram showed various alien creatures engaged in what appeared to be combat within different environments. "The arena is our most prestigious cultural event," Zextar continued. "Every recognized species sends their champion to compete for honor and improved resource rights." The station director looked uncomfortable. "I'm not authorized to make such decisions, but I'll communicate this to Earth's Unified Council immediately." "Of course," the ambassador said with what seemed like a smirk. "We understand humans will likely decline. This is merely a diplomatic formality. Your species is still very new." As the officials moved toward the conference room, Jack returned to his work, but remained close enough to overhear the ambassador speaking softly to his aides in what they thought was a private conversation. "Can you imagine one of these humans in the arena?" Zextar said, switching to his native language, unaware that the translator in Jack's comm unit was still active. "They would be eliminated in moments. Such fragile creatures with their thin skin and weak muscles. It's almost cruel to invite them." One of the aides made a sound like laughter. "The Krell would snap their bones like twigs." "Still, protocol is protocol," the ambassador continued. "We will gain favor with the High Council for our inclusivity, while knowing no human would be foolish enough to accept." Jack felt heat rise in his chest. He had faced plenty of enemies who underestimated him during his military career. Before he could stop himself, he stepped forward. "Excuse me," he said loudly. The aliens turned, surprised by the interruption. "I volunteer," Jack said firmly. "Pardon." The ambassador's translator seemed to struggle with the concept. "For your arena, I volunteer to represent Earth." The station director looked horrified. "Mr. Miller, you have no authority." "I'm a veteran of 3 wars on Earth," Jack continued, stepping closer, "and I'd be honored to show what humans are capable of." The ambassador's mouth formed what might have been a smile on his alien face. "How amusing. You understand this is not a simulation. The arena is quite real, with quite real consequences." "I understand completely," Jack replied, meeting the alien's gaze. Zextar exchanged glances with his aides. "Well, this is unexpected, and refreshingly bold if misguided." He turned to the station director. "It seems Earth has a volunteer champion after all. We will make the necessary arrangements." As the implications of what he'd just done began to sink in, Jack wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. but watching the barely concealed amusement on the aliens' faces hardened his resolve. No one laughed at humanity on his watch. 2 weeks after his impulsive decision, Jack stood at the viewing port of a Confederation transport ship as it approached the Nexus. The massive space station looked like a giant metal flower blooming in the emptiness of space, with 6 enormous petal-shaped sections extending from a central hub. "First time seeing the Nexus?" asked a voice behind him. Jack turned to find a slender alien with golden fur and cap-like features. Her translator badge glinted on her chest. "I'm Mirren," she said. "I'll be your liaison during the tournament." "Jack Miller," he replied, extending his hand before remembering that not all species shook hands. He awkwardly lowered it. Mirren tilted her head. "Your file says you're a maintenance engineer, not a warrior." "I was a Marine for 15 years before that." "Marine." Her translator seemed to struggle with the concept. "Earth military. Combat trained." "Ah." Mirren's expression was unreadable. "That might help you survive the first round. At least." As the ship docked, Jack followed Mirren through bustling corridors, filled with species of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Some moved on multiple legs, others floated above the ground, and a few seemed to shift form as they walked. "The arena has been running for 12,000 years, Mirren explained. 120 tournaments. No human has ever competed. Until now," Jack said. Mirren led him to a large chamber where other competitors gathered. Jack immediately felt out of place. A group of towering reptilian creatures with armored skin flexed clawed hands nearby. Across the room, a being made of what looked like living crystal examined weapons on a display. "Those are Krell warriors," Mirren whispered, nodding toward the reptilians. "They've won the last 3 tournaments. The crystalline one is a Vexuri. They have 4 arms and can move faster than your eye can track." Jack swallowed hard but kept his face neutral. "And that?" he asked, pointing to a hovering blue sphere surrounded by mist. "A mindwaver of fellows. They read thoughts and emotions. Very difficult to fight." Before Jack could respond, a voice called out, "Is that the human?" The room fell quiet as one of the Krell approached. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, the alien looked down at Jack with yellow, slitted eyes. "You're smaller than I expected," the Krell said, its voice a deep rumble through the translator. "And you're exactly as ugly as I expected," Jack replied before he could stop himself. The room tensed. The Krell stared at him for a long moment before letting out a sound like rocks grinding together. Jack realized it was laughing. "I am Drakkar," the Krell said. "Remember that name. It will be the last you hear in the arena." As Drakkar walked away, Mirren grabbed Jack's arm. "Are you trying to get yourself killed before the competition even starts?" "Just making friends," Jack said dryly. Mirren shook her head. "Let me show you to your quarters. You should rest before tomorrow's orientation." As they left the chamber, someone called out, "Jack?" Jack Miller. A human woman with dark hair pulled into a tight bun approached them. She wore the uniform of Earth's Xenological Research Division. "I'm Lydia Carpenter," she said, her expression a mix of disbelief and irritation. "I was sent to observe the games as part of my research. I didn't expect to find another human here, especially not as a competitor." "Nice to meet you too," Jack said. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Lydia lowered her voice. "Earth's government is in chaos over your decision. Half want to pull you out, and half see it as an opportunity." "Which half are you with?" Jack asked. Lydia sighed. "I haven't decided yet, but I've been studying arena footage for months. These beings have evolved specifically for combat. Some have natural armor stronger than our best military gear. Others can move faster than human reflexes can register." Jack glanced back at the gathering of alien warriors. "So I've been told." "You could die in there," Lydia said bluntly. "Or," Jack replied, "I could show everyone what humans are really capable of." As they continued walking, Jack felt the weight of what lay ahead. But watching the other competitors sizing him up, Dismissing him before he'd even begun only strengthened his resolve. He may have entered this as a jest, but he wouldn't go down without a fight. Jack woke early the next morning, his body still adjusting to the Nexus's artificial day-night cycle. His quarters were small but comfortable, designed to accommodate various species. He began his usual exercise routine, push-ups and sit-ups, trying to ignore the fact that some competitors could probably lift an entire shuttlecraft. A soft chime indicated someone at his door. Lydia Carpenter stood outside with a small device in her hand. "I thought you might want to see this," she said, entering his room. She activated the device, projecting holographic footage of previous arena matches. "That's the Saurian you'll face in the first round," Lydia explained, pointing to a muscular reptilian creature battling another alien. "Twice your weight, scales tough as armor, and those claws can tear through metal." Jack watched carefully as the Saurian defeated its opponent with brutal efficiency. "Any weaknesses?" "They're not great thinkers," Lydia said, "and they overheat easily. Their species evolved on a cold world." For the next hour, they studied footage of various competitors. Jack paid close attention to their fighting styles, looking for patterns and vulnerabilities. "Why are you helping me?" Jack finally asked. Lydia paused the projection. "Because whether I agree with your decision or not, you're representing Earth now. And," she hesitated, "I've been watching these matches for months. There's something disturbing about how the stronger species treat the weaker ones." Their discussion was interrupted by Mirren, who arrived to escort Jack to his first training session. They traveled to a large gymnasium-like facility where various aliens practiced combat. "Each competitor gets 2 hours of training time daily," Mirren explained. "The arena changes its environment for every match, so adaptability is key." As Jack began working with basic equipment, he noticed an elderly alien watching him from nearby. The being had gray skin with deep wrinkles and 4 arms, each moving with precise, deliberate motions as he tinkered with a small device. "That's Vorn," Mirren said quietly. "He's been here for decades. His species, the Nithri, were once great warriors, but their civilization declined. Now he works as an arena technician." Later, as Jack rested between exercises, Vorn approached him. "Human," the alien said, his translator making his voice sound metallic. "Your form is inefficient." "Thanks for the tip," Jack replied dryly. "No, listen." Vorn moved closer. "I have watched many arena matches. The strong do not always win. The clever sometimes do." Jack's interest peaked. "I'm listening." "The arena is not just a battlefield," Vorn continued. "It is a machine. I help maintain its systems. Environment controls, gravity modulators, atmospheric mixers, all can be used by one who understands them. Are you offering to help me?" The old alien's face crinkled in what might have been a smile. "Perhaps I see in humans what others once saw in my kind." Over the next week, Jack divided his time between physical training and sessions with Vorn, who taught him about the arena's hidden mechanisms. Lydia continued to provide information on his opponents, creating a growing database of strengths and weaknesses. One evening, as Jack practiced in an empty training room, a smooth voice interrupted him. "Human, a word." A tall, elegant alien with silvery skin stood in the doorway. Jack recognized him as a representative of the Vexari Enclave, one of the dominant powers in the Confederation. "We have been watching your progress with interest," the Vexari said. "It would benefit many if the Krell were to win this tournament again." Jack crossed his arms. "And? Your first match is designed to be survivable. Withdraw after it, sight injury, and your world will receive favorable trade terms with our enclave." "You want me to throw the tournament. I want you to be realistic," the Vexari replied smoothly. "And alive." After the alien left, Jack sat down heavily on a bench. The games were more than just combat. They were politics. His participation had galactic implications he hadn't considered. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. Tomorrow was his first match. As he stared at the ceiling, he wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. But then he remembered the ambassador's mocking words, the dismissive looks from the other competitors, and his resolve hardened. He would show them all what humans could do. The day of Jack's first match arrived. A crowd of thousands filled the viewing galleries surrounding the arena. Species of all kinds pressed against transparent barriers, eager to see the first human competitor. Jack waited in the preparation chamber, trying to calm his racing heart. He wore a simple jumpsuit provided by the arena officials, designed to adjust to different environments. A small Earth flag was printed on the shoulder, a last-minute addition after frantic communications between the Nexus and Earth governments. "Your match begins in 10 minutes, Mirren said, entering the chamber. The arena has been configured as a dense jungle environment. Jack nodded. This was what Vorn had predicted. Advantages to the Saurian. They climb well and can blend with vegetation, but the humidity might slow them down. Mirren hesitated. No one would think less of you if you withdrew now. I would, Jack replied simply. Lydia rushed in, looking worried. Jack, I've been running more analysis. The Saurian, Krex, has killed 3 opponents in previous tournaments. Good to know, Jack said, checking the small toolkit Vorn had secretly given him. Nothing that counted as a weapon, but useful tools nonetheless. A loud tone sounded. Time to go, Mirren said. Jack walked through a long corridor toward a bright doorway. The sound of the crowd grew louder with each step. He thought of Earth, of his old Marine unit, of all the humans watching this broadcast across the galaxy. No pressure. He stepped through the doorway and into another world. Massive trees towered overhead. Thick undergrowth covered the ground, and a heavy mist hung in the air. The heat and humidity hit him immediately, making it hard to breathe. Across the arena, another door opened, and Krex emerged. The Saurian was even more intimidating in person, 7 feet of muscle, scale, and claw. Its yellow eyes fixed on Jack immediately. A voice boomed throughout the arena. First round match. Krex of the Saurian Clutch versus Jack Miller of Earth. Combat ends with surrender or incapacitation. Begin. Krex charged forward with surprising speed. Jack barely had time to dive into the undergrowth before the Saurian crashed through the spot where he had been standing. He scrambled deeper into the jungle, hearing Krex's heavy breathing behind him. The crowd roared with excitement. Most expected a quick victory for the Saurian. Jack could almost hear the disappointment when he ran rather than fought directly. He needed a plan. Fighting strength against strength would be suicide. He needed to use the environment. As he ran, he remembered Vorn's lessons about the arena systems. Each section had hidden mechanisms controlling temperature, moisture, and more. Jack spotted a large tree with exposed roots forming a small cave. He crawled inside, giving himself a moment to think. The Saurian's footsteps grew closer, shaking the ground. Jack noticed small pipes running along the ground, part of the arena's water circulation system. An idea formed. He quickly used tools from his kit to loosen the pipe connection. Water began to spray onto the ground. Using another tool, he stripped a small electrical wire from a hidden sensor in the tree. Come out, human. Krex's voice was like gravel. Die with honor. Jack took a deep breath, then called out, over here. As Krex charged toward the tree, Jack touched the wire to the growing puddle of water at precisely the right moment. The electrical current wasn't strong enough to seriously harm the Saurian, but it was enough to stun him temporarily. Krex roared in pain and surprise as the shock hit him. Jack used the moment to emerge from hiding and grab a heavy branch. With all his strength, he swung it at the Saurian's head. The blow connected with a sickening crack. Krex stumbled, disoriented. Jack didn't waste the advantage. He swung again and again, targeting the same spot on the Saurian's skull. Finally, Krex collapsed to the ground, not dead but unconscious. The arena fell silent for a long moment. Then a hesitant cheer began, growing louder as the reality sank in. A human had won. The announcer's voice betrayed clear surprise. Victory to Jack Miller of Earth. As medical drones rushed in to tend to Krex, Jack stood breathing heavily, covered in mud and scratches. He looked up at the crowd, seeing confusion and surprise on alien faces. Some were already reviewing footage, trying to understand how this impossible outcome had occurred. In the Earth delegation's private viewing box, Lydia jumped to her feet, cheering. Several alien diplomats nearby looked at her in astonishment. Jack was escorted back to the preparation chamber, where Mirren waited with wide eyes. "You won," she said, as if she couldn't believe the words. "Told you I would," Jack replied, though in truth, he was as surprised as anyone. That night, as news of the human victory spread across the Nexus, Jack received a message from Earth. His actions had already resulted in 3 new trade offers and an invitation to join a minor alliance. In one day, humanity's standing had improved more than in a year of careful diplomacy. Jack smiled tiredly. 1 down. Many more to go. News of Jack's victory spread quickly through the Nexus. Species that had ignored humans now watched recordings of the match with interest. Some saw clever strategy. Others saw lucky chance. All wondered what the human would do next. Jack woke the morning after his match feeling every bruise and scratch. As he slowly got out of bed, a message arrived on his room's communication panel. His next opponent would be Riz, a Vexari assassin known for incredible speed and agility. "Just what I needed," Jack muttered. He found Lydia in the station's data center, surrounded by holographic displays showing past Vexari matches. "They're like nothing I've ever seen," she said without looking up. 4 arms, reflexes twice as fast as ours, and they can see in spectrums we can't. Riz has never lost. Until now, Jack said with more confidence than he felt. Lydia gave him a tired smile. "At least you're not the joke of the tournament anymore." They spent hours studying Riz's fighting style. The Vexari never used the same attack pattern twice, making them unpredictable. Their only weakness seemed to be a need to rest briefly after intense bursts of speed. Later, Jack met with Vorn in a maintenance tunnel deep in the Nexus. The old alien looked troubled. "Something wrong?" Jack asked. "Your quarters were searched while you were training today," Vorn said quietly, "and someone tampered with your environmental controls, trying to make me too hot or cold to sleep well." Vorn nodded. "The Krell do not like that you won. They see humans as a future threat now." "I'm just one person," Jack said. "No," Vorn replied, his wrinkled face serious. "You are a symbol. If one human can defeat arena champions, what might billions do?" Jack thought about this as Vorn showed him how to modify a small scanner to detect the Vexari's rapid movements. It wasn't technically a weapon, but it pushed the boundaries of arena rules. When Jack returned to his quarters, he found Mirren waiting outside his door. "I have a message for you," she said, looking uncomfortable. "From the Krell Dominion." "Let me guess. They want me to withdraw." Mirren shook her head. "They'd formally requested that all your matches be held with maximum environmental hazards." Her eyes met his. "This is unusual. They're trying to kill you, Jack. Can they do that?" "The request has been approved. The Krell have many allies on the ruling council." Jack sighed. "Any good news?" Mirren's whiskers twitched in what might have been a smile. "Several smaller species have approached Earth's representatives. They're impressed by you. Someone even started calling you the human hope." The next day, Jack was preparing for his match when Lydia burst into the room. "Jack, I just intercepted a transmission between Riz and a Krell handler. They've modified the arena to include toxic spores that affect human respiration." Jack frowned. "That's cheating." "It's politics," Lydia corrected, "and there's no time to protest. Your match starts in 20 minutes. Jack thought quickly. "Fine, Vorn. Ask him about air filtration systems in the arena." When Jack entered the arena for his second match, the environment was a stark contrast to the jungle. Steel platforms floated in a vast empty space, connected by narrow bridges. Far below, A swirling mist emitted the toxic spores Lydia had warned about. Jack wore a small filter over his nose and mouth, a last-minute creation from Vorn that looked like part of his uniform. It wouldn't last long, but it might be enough. Across the arena, Riz appeared. The Vexari was tall and slender with 4 arms, ending in delicate but deadly hands. 2 eyes focused on Jack, while a second pair scanned the surroundings. "The human survivor," Riz said, voice like silk. "I study your first match. Clever tricks won't work against me." The starting signal sounded. Riz moved so fast, Jack barely saw it coming. A blur of motion that nearly knocked him from the platform. Only his marine combat training allowed him to roll away in time. Jack scrambled to his feet, heart pounding. How could he fight what he could barely see? Then he remembered Vorn's words. "The arena is a machine. Use it." As Riz charged again, Jack pulled out the modified scanner and activated it. The device didn't slow the Vexari, but it showed Jack the pattern of movement as a light trail. He dodged the next attack by inches. In the viewing gallery, Lydia held her breath. Below her, a group of small, furry aliens chanted human hope in their native language. On a higher level, Ambassador Zek's tar watched with growing concern. The human was lasting much longer than expected. And in the command center, Drakkar of the Krell observed every move, his reptilian eyes narrowed with hatred. The Jest had become something dangerous, something that needed to be stopped. Jack dodged another lightning-fast attack from Riz, using the scanner to predict the Vexari's movements. The toxic mist below made his lungs burn despite Vorn's filter. He couldn't keep this up much longer. "Stand still and die with honor," Riz called, all 4 arms wielding small blades that glinted in the arena's harsh light. "Not today," Jack replied, backing onto a narrow bridge between platforms. The crowd watched in amazement. No one had lasted this long against a Vexari before. Some spectators were now openly cheering for the human. Riz attacked again, moving so fast that even with the scanner, Jack barely had time to react. One of the blades sliced his arm, drawing blood. The crowd gasped. Jack stumbled backward, feigning more injury than he felt. Riz pressed the advantage, exactly as Jack had hoped. As the Vexari lunged forward, Jack dropped flat on the bridge. Riz, unable to stop his momentum, sailed over Jack and had to grab the edge of the next platform to avoid falling into the toxic mist. In that brief moment when Riz hung from the edge, Jack saw his chance. He remembered that Vexari needed to rest after intense speed bursts. Using all his strength, Jack stomped on Riz's fingers. The Vexari dropped one hand with a hiss of pain, but still clung with the other 3. Jack stomped again and again until Riz was hanging by just one arm. "Surrender," Jack said, breathing hard. Riz's 4 eyes glared up at him. "Never." Jack shrugged. "Your choice." He stepped on the final hand. Riz fell toward the mist, but caught a lower platform at the last second. Before the Vexari could recover, Jack jumped down, landing heavily beside him. They grappled briefly before Jack managed to pin Riz down, using his greater weight as an advantage. "Last chance," Jack said. After a long moment, Riz spoke the formal words of surrender. The arena erupted in cheers and shocked exclamations. Jack had reached the semifinals. Back in the preparation chamber, medical drones treated Jack's wounds while Lydia paced excitedly. "Do you know what you've done?" she asked. "No one from a new species has ever reached the semifinals in their first tournament. You're making history." Jack winced as a drone sealed his arm wound. "Lucky me." Mirren entered, her fur standing on end with agitation. "The Krell delegation is furious. They're demanding an investigation into possible human cheating." "Let them," Jack said. "I followed all the rules." "That's not all," Mirren continued. "Your next opponent has been announced. You'll face Thex of the Mindweavers." Jack's stomach dropped. The telepathic aliens were among the most feared competitors. They could read their opponent's intentions before they acted. Later that night, Jack met with Vorn in a quiet observation deck overlooking the stars. The old alien handed him a small device. "What's this?" Jack asked. "Ancient technology from my people," Vorn said, his voice low. "It creates mental static. Not enough to block a mindweaver completely, but it might confuse them. Is this legal?" Vorn's wrinkled face creased in what might have been a smile. "The rules forbid weapons and performance enhancements. This is neither. It simply makes your thoughts noisy." As Jack returned to his quarters, he found a small group of aliens waiting for him. They were short with blue fur and large eyes. One stepped forward nervously. "I am Kraz," the alien said. "My world was conquered by the Krell 3 cycles ago. We watch you fight. You give us hope." Jack didn't know what to say. He had entered the arena on impulse, to prove a point. Now he carried the hopes of beings he'd never met. The next morning, Jack prepared for his match against Thex. The arena would be configured as an Arctic environment, cold enough to slow humans down, but not kill them outright. Another Krell courtesy. Lydia helped him into a thermal suit. "The Mindweavers don't just read current thoughts," she explained. "They access memories, fears, doubts. Vex will use everything about you against you." Jack activated Vorn's device, feeling a strange buzzing in his mind. "Then I'll have to think outside the box." As he walked toward the arena entrance, Jack remembered his military training. During his capture in Earth's last war, he had developed mental techniques to resist interrogation. Now those same skills might save his life. The arena doors opened to reveal a frozen landscape. Snow swirled around jagged ice formations. Across the white expanse, a robed figure floated slightly above the ground. Thex had no visible eyes, just a smooth, pale face with small ripples that moved like water. The telepathic alien tilted its head as Jack approached. "Your mind is unusual," Thex said, its voice echoing directly in Jack's thoughts rather than through a translator. "This will be interesting." The match began. Jack knew this would be his hardest test yet. But as Earth watched and the oppressed species of the galaxy held their breath, he stepped forward to face his most powerful opponent. The semifinals had begun. The match against Thex began in eerie silence. Snow crunched under Jack's boots as he circled the floating Mindweaver. The cold bit through his thermal suit, making his movements slower than usual. "Your mind hides behind noise," Thex's voice whispered directly in Jack's thoughts. Clever, but not enough. A wave of dizziness hit Jack as Thex pushed deeper into his mind. Memories flashed before his eyes. Childhood fears, battlefield horrors, doubts about his chances here in the arena. Jack stumbled, nearly falling into a snowdrift. In the viewing gallery, Lydia gripped the railing. "He can't win this one," she whispered. "Not against a telepath." Beside her, Vorn watched with ancient eyes. "Do not underestimate human resilience." Jack felt Thex rifling through his memories like someone searching through files. The Mindweaver was looking for weaknesses, fears to exploit. Jack focused on his military training, on the techniques he learned as a prisoner of war. Instead of fighting the intrusion directly, Jack began to think in circles. He created a loop of thought, the same sequence repeated over and over. It was like mental white noise. "Interesting defense," Thex commented, floating closer. "But futile." The alien raised a slender arm, and a wave of psychic force knocked Jack backward into an ice formation. Pain shot through his shoulder. "I see your plan now," Thex continued. "The device creates base interference, but your loop technique is the real defense. Primitive, but effective." Jack rose to his feet, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. The cold was making it hard to think clearly. Vex was too powerful to fight directly. Then Jack remembered something Vorn had said about the Arctic environment controls. The temperature was regulated by machines beneath the arena floor. Perhaps he could use that. "Getting tired, human," Vex taunted, sensing Jack's fatigue. "Just getting started," Jack replied, stumbling toward a particular ice formation that Vorn had described. It concealed an access panel to the environmental systems. Thex misinterpreted his movement. You cannot hide behind ice. I see your intentions before you act. That gave Jack an idea. If Thex could read his surface thoughts, perhaps Jack could use that against him. He began to think loudly about retreating, about finding shelter behind the ice formation. Thex pursued, exactly as Jack hoped. When the Mindweaver was close enough, Jack suddenly switched tactics. Instead of thinking about his real plan, he focused entirely on a false one, creating a vivid mental image of attacking from the left. As Thex moved to counter the imaginary attack, Jack dove right, reaching the hidden panel. Using Vorn's knowledge, he quickly ripped it open and found the temperature controls. A clever trick, Thex said, recovering quickly. But I am still in your mind. Another psychic blast hit Jack, sending waves of pain through his body. His vision blurred, but his fingers continued working on the controls, if he could just increase the temperature rapidly enough. In the command center, alarms began to sound. Temperature spike in Arctic Arena, a technician reported. Environmental systems being manually overridden. The Krell representative hissed in anger. Stop it. We cannot without ending the match, another technician replied. Back in the arena, snow began to melt as the temperature rose dramatically. Jack had gambled on something Lydia had discovered in her research. Mindweavers came from a cold world and struggled in hot environments. Thex made a sound like wind through caves, a telepathic cry of distress. The alien's smooth skin began to wrinkle in the rising heat. What have you done? Thex's mental voice was weaker now. Changed the rules, Jack gasped, his own body suffering from the rapid temperature shift. Steam rose around them as the arena turned from Arctic to tropical in minutes. Thex's mental grip weakened further as the alien struggled to maintain focus in the heat. Jack pressed his advantage, charging forward through slush and mud. Thex tried to float away, but the heat had weakened its levitation abilities. Jack tackled the alien to the ground. They struggled briefly, Jack's physical strength against Thex's fading telepathic power. For a moment, their minds connected directly. Jack felt the alien's surprise, its grudging respect, and something else. Fear, not of Jack, but of what his victory might mean for the Galactic Order. Finally, weakened by the heat, Thex spoke the words of surrender. The crowd exploded in cheers and shouts. A human had reached the finals. As medical drones carried both competitors from the now sweltering arena, Jack caught sight of Drakkar watching from a private viewing box. The Krell's yellow eyes burned with hatred. Tomorrow, they would face each other in the final match, and the Krell would not surrender so easily. The day of the final match arrived. The Nexus buzzed with excitement as beings from across the galaxy gathered to watch. No one had expected a human to reach the finals, least of all Jack himself. In the preparation chamber, Lydia helped Jack check his equipment one last time. The arena will be configured as a volcanic landscape, she said, her voice tight with worry. High heat, toxic gases, unstable ground. The Krell chose it specifically to counter your previous strategies. Perfect for them too, Jack noted. Reptilians love heat. Drakkar has never lost a match, Lydia continued. He's killed 6 opponents who refused to surrender. Jack nodded grimly. I know. The door slid open, and Vorn entered. The old alien looked troubled. I have discovered something disturbing. The Krell have bribed technicians to increase heat levels beyond safe parameters for humans. They do not intend for you to leave the arena alive. Can we protest? Lydia asked. No time, Vorn replied. But I have adjusted your thermal suit to provide better protection. It will not last long, but it might give you a chance. Jack took a deep breath. Any last advice? Vorn placed a gnarled hand on Jack's shoulder. There is a section in the northeast quadrant where the ground is particularly unstable. The maintenance logs show recent volcanic activity beneath the surface. Remember, the arena is a machine. Sometimes machines fail. The signal sounded. It was time. As Jack walked through the tunnel toward the arena, he saw Mirren waiting. Her golden fur was groomed formally for the important occasion. "Whatever happens," she said quietly, "you have changed how many species view humans. That is no small thing." Jack nodded his thanks and stepped into the arena. Heat hit him like a physical blow. The landscape was hellish. Black rock, bubbling lava pools, geysers of steam erupting randomly. The air shimmered with heat waves. Across the arena stood Drakkar. The Krell warrior was magnificent and terrifying in ceremonial armor that covered his scaled body. His yellow eyes fixed on Jack with pure hatred. "The human who thinks he is a warrior," Drakkar's voice boomed across the arena. "Today you learn your place." The starting signal sounded, and Drakkar charged with surprising speed for his size. Jack barely dodged the first attack, feeling the wind as massive claws swept past his face. The crowd roared. This was what they had come to see, the upstart human against the reigning champion. Jack backed away, looking for advantages in the terrain. The heat was already affecting him despite Vorn's modifications to his suit. Sweat poured down his face, and his lungs burned with each breath. Drakkar pursued relentlessly, driving Jack toward a lava pool. "No tricks will save you now, human." Jack stumbled on the uneven ground, and Drakkar seized the opportunity. A powerful blow caught Jack in the ribs, sending him flying backward. He landed hard, pain shooting through his body. In the viewing gallery, Lydia covered her mouth in horror. Beside her, Kraz and other aliens who had supported Jack watched in tense silence. Jack rolled away just as Drakkar's foot stomped where his head had been. The ground cracked from the impact. Jack scrambled to his feet, remembering Vorn's words about the unstable northeast quadrant. He began moving in that direction, appearing to retreat. Drakkar followed, taunting him with each step. "Your species is weak," the Krell growled. "After I kill you, we will ensure humans never rise beyond their proper place." Jack's ribs screamed in pain with each breath. He needed to reach the unstable area before his strength gave out. Drakkar was too powerful to defeat in direct combat. When they reached the northeast quadrant, Jack stopped running. He turned to face Drakkar, who seemed surprised by the sudden change. "Decided to die with dignity?" Drakkar asked, approaching more cautiously now. "Just decided to change the game," Jack replied. He began stomping hard on the ground, then jumping, creating vibrations in the already unstable surface. Drakkar laughed. "What are you doing, human? Some strange earth dance before death." Jack continued, feeling the ground shift slightly beneath them. "You know why humans have survived on Earth. We adapt. We observe. We use our surroundings." The ground trembled. Small cracks appeared around them. Drakkar noticed too late what was happening. With a thunderous crack, the section of ground between them split open. Lava burst upward in a spectacular fountain. Drakkar roared in surprise and pain as molten rock splashed his armor. The Krell stumbled backward, slipping toward the expanding fissure. Jack lunged forward and grabbed Drakkar's arm, preventing him from falling into the lava flow. The crowd fell silent in shock. Drakkar stared at Jack in confusion. "Why save me? You could win." "Because that's also what humans do," Jack said through gritted teeth. "We compete, but we don't have to destroy." Together, they moved away from the dangerous fissure to stable ground. Drakkar looked at Jack with new eyes. Not friendly, but respectful. After a long moment, the Krell warrior did something unprecedented. He raised his hand and spoke the words of surrender. The arena fell completely silent before erupting in thunderous sound. A human had won the tournament. In the days that followed, Jack became a celebrity throughout the Confederation. Earth received new trade agreements, alliance offers, and diplomatic recognition. The arena victory had accelerated humanity's galactic standing by decades. On his last day on the Nexus, Jack stood with Lydia, Vorn, and Mirren, looking out at the stars. "What will you do now?" Lydia asked. Jack smiled. Go home. Fix some air filters. Live quietly for a while. You have changed things, Vorn said. For my people, for Kraza's world, for many others. The strong species now look at the weaker ones differently. All because you entered the arena as a jest, Mirren added. Jack watched a distant star flare brightly and left a legend.